Everybody, welcome to Red, White, and News. My name is Jacob. This is my show. We're going to be covering current events, news topics, mostly political stuff. Try to get some clips from both perspectives, different sides of the aisles. Some smaller podcasts probably you may not know, or you probably do. Throw a little bit of everything in there, and truth's usually somewhere in the middle, and we'll see if we can find it. All right, so let's see what's going with this USAID stuff.
Whether you like it or not, Donald Trump has deputized Elon Musk to head this agency that's designed to eliminate waste, as the White House sees it. Wasteful spending, unnecessary spending. And so when the people that are part of this effort that Donald Trump has created after he won the election went to USAID, and it's happened in other agencies too, you see almost this physical resistance, like, how dare you come into our realm? You don't run us. You're just the elected part of the government. We're this agency that exists independent of you. Where does this mentality come from that they have this right to pursue their own agenda independent of any elected officials or elected parts of the government?
Well, the entire agency exists as a carefully constructed lie. You recall how in 2011 the CIA was busted running a fake vaccine clinic in Pakistan. Do you remember this?
Yeah, to find Osama bin Laden was their claim, and they undercut all kinds of confidence for years. Yeah, that was the claim, was they wanted to register these people in the hope of getting connection with the population, but it was a fake vaccine program. Vaccine activists were angry because they had worked so hard to build confidence in vaccines, and it turned out that it was a whole fake plan and designed to get the United States to get data on Pakistanis.
Yes, right. Had nothing to do with David Petraeus' counterinsurgency manual calling to collect 85% of the country's biometrics. Yeah, it was just Osama bin Laden. But the fact is they were caught flat busted in that situation with a fake vaccine drive, fake vaccine clinics, and that was 2011. It took them 16 months to issue a written statement, a non-binding written statement that they would no longer use vaccination work or public health work or public health facilities to do intelligence work out of.
No, USA.
You see, that's the trick. It's always 16 months, 2 years. They wait for the fire to burn down, about 400 news cycles to go through, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, by the way, that thing we did a few months ago, yeah, we pinky promise we won't ever do that again.
USAID has a very long track record of being a cutout for the CIA, working closely with the CIA since its founding in 1961. Could go on and on about that if you want some examples. But
yeah, I would love that. I was actually going to say, if you could walk us through the history of it, because to a lot of people, I think USAID, it does give so much foreign aid, a lot of which is sort of seen as charitable, donations from the United States.
Yeah, seen is the operative word there.
Right. Yeah, so people think it's like, it's an alphabet soup agency. It does all of this good stuff. There's a very fascinating history behind USAID. If you could walk us through that, Christian.
In 2010, USAID funded this Cuban TikTok that was part of a regime change effort, but got found out by the Cubans.
Cuban TikTok?
State and really only had the effect of flushing out a bunch of
the Cuban Twitter thing, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Cuban Twitter thing. Sorry, yes. A WikiLeaks cable released in 2013 showed how USAID had a 5-point plan for infiltrating Hugo Chavez's political base in Venezuela, and the aim was to sow division and sort of divide and weaken Chavismo from the inside. There was another USAID funded destabilization effort in Cuba that was found out around the same time. A guy named Alan Gross went down there to organize and fund among the Jewish community in Cuba to try and foment dissent against the government there, and was found out and sentenced to 20 years in prison. And Evo Morales, when he was president of Bolivia, expelled USAID because he found it to be doing the same sort of thing, funding and training opposition. A lot of this is billed as capacity building, but it's really part of the U.S. regime change playbook.
So it sounds like, or the last two stories anyway, that we go in a relief capacity. And really, we're sending in, it sounds like we're sending in the CIA to infiltrate, and best case, they're digging up information on people. Worst case, and it seems like what we keep hearing recently, is it's to put people in place to overthrow regimes. So it's not good. It's not good.
Congressman, here's what we found. Show the list of what's going on at USAID. Congressman, they wasted $20 million to recreate Sesame Street in Iraq. $9 million meant for Syria went to al-Qaeda terrorists. And aid money meant for Ukraine went to trips for models and designers to Paris and London Fashion Week, also to New York City. So this is what Joni Ernst is trying to stop. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what, you just hit the tip of the iceberg on that list, Liz. The waste that has come out.
That is insane. Oh, 38 million to Wuhan. Oh shit. No, now we're really finding out why they don't want anybody digging into USAID. 20 million to recreate Sesame Street. $15 million to Taliban for contraceptives. What the what?
Of USAID, the unbelievable level of taxpayer dollars that goes into USAID. You know, I was on Foreign Affairs last session, last term, and you know, I had Samantha Power in hearings, and we were asking the questions. And they were even, I was asking, why don't we try subsidizing, at least, if we're going to do that, natural gas in Africa? And they were pushing solar panels. This was all about ideology. It's horrific. And this is exactly why Doge for members were not allowed in, and why we elected President Trump, we're scrutinizing these things far, far better and being allowed to. There was no transparency. There was no openness. We couldn't get the details. Well, the details are coming out, and unfortunately, the American people aren't going to like them, but they're going to be stopped.
Yeah,
But what I
That's going to be the hard part, and that's what I don't understand what's going on. When you see these things, when you see millions and millions of dollars for contraceptives, whatever the hell that means, millions of dollars to recreate Sesame Street, money that's supposed to be going to Ukraine is being used for models to go to fashion shows in New York. Like, that's insane. But how, and I know I'm going to regret this, but how could anyone, regardless of what party you're in, not be for that? How could anybody say, yeah, I know we're spending all this money, but mind your business? I don't know if that's going to fly.
want to ask you is, let me just ask you about the defense of people who defend USAID, including all these congressional Democrats who are marching in front of there as though they were defending something noble, the CIA front. That's what the Democratic Party is now. They would say, and I think defenders of the blob, the people in the blob would say, if you don't exert this influence in these other countries, even with especially with the pretense of helping, you know, we're building an irrigation system for you, we're doing this, we're doing that, even though we have ulterior motives, if we withdraw from that, if we defund that, China is just going to go in and do it, or the Russians will do it, or the Iranians will do it, and we will end up harming ourselves. What about that argument?
So, technically, USAID HQ is set to shut down if Trump and Musk win on this. But the plan is to fold it under the State Department. And, you know, I posted this on X just a
translation. That means it's not going anywhere.
A little bit ago. But, you know, the fundamental thrust of it was killing USAID does not end USAID. Yeah, killing USAID as an organization does not end USAID as a function.
I lived in a refugee camp for 4 years as a child surviving civil war. It is the essential programs that USAID provided that kept my family and I fed and safe. It is the resources that so many people around the world rely on. And it is our soft power. Oftentimes, people interact with our country through the military. That does not create love for us, and it certainly does not keep us safe. When the world interacts with Americans through programs that provide essential need, they get to see the heart and compassion of the American people.
So is it her position that you can give people in foreign countries food, money, supplies, and everything, but if it's not a blank check and you dare ask for some accountability on it, then you're what? Well, I don't understand what the argument is, that it has to be all or nothing. You can't say here's $100 billion, but I kind of need to know where it's going. Like, you're not allowed to do that. That makes no sense.
What Trump and Elon and all of their cronies are trying to do is take away the constitutional power of Congress. We get to decide. We have the power of the purse. We get to decide where money is allocated, and it's the executive's power to make sure that that money gets to where it needs to get.
Isn't that what they're doing? They're making sure that the money that's allocated to these programs is actually going there. They're looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. By definition, those three things mean the money's not going where it's supposed to go.
It should come as no surprise that Democrats think Trump's aid cutoff is a bad idea that will harm the reputation of the U.S. around the globe. Just minutes ago, CNN spoke to a Democratic senator who serves on the Foreign Relations Committee, and he said this move is being celebrated by America's rivals on the world stage.
AID is a very important instrument of U.S. national and security policy. So when the president is talking about shutting down AID, this is another case, John, where our adversaries are cheering. China's cheering, Russia's cheering. In fact, one of Putin's cronies tweeted out right away, good work, Elon, because they would like to see the United States retreat. These development programs are a tiny part of our budget, but if you ask anybody in the United States military, they will say that those investments are a force multiplier. And so this is another case where the president is serving the interests of our adversaries, and they're doing it in illegal manners.
New this morning, thank you for your service. That is the last line on the USAID website at this moment, and it's a directive sent out to thousands of staff told they will be on leave as of Friday. With us now, Dr. Atul Gawande, former head of global health for USAID. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us. So what happens on Friday? Where will these losses, how will these losses be felt?
You have to understand, you cannot pause an airplane in mid-flight and fire the crew, but this oligarch with unchecked power is doing that to the entirety.
Oligarch with unchecked power. The guy that's coming in at the request of the president, doing an audit with read-only access, has unchecked power. Really?
Of our foreign assistance worldwide, our life-saving foreign assistance worldwide. We are damaging U.S. capacity, U.S. standing, and also harming lives. These are programs that range from eradicating polio to fighting outbreaks that are occurring right now.
You've seen the list of specific programs that Elon Musk and his allies and some Republicans in Congress say that USAID is funding that they feel is out of bounds, it should not be funded. What do you say to those?
Look, there is a debate over whether there should be diversity programs, whether HIV clinics should treat transgender people who have HIV. Like, this is an argument we can have over a small component of this budget, but you don't destroy the entire organization. Policy changes from administration to administration, and we can look at this program, the different programs. But we're talking about in global health, for example, it's half the budget of my hospital where I practice surgery, and it is reaching hundreds of millions of people with work being done through Catholic relief services, Save the Children. These are not criminal enterprises. These are not rogue operations.
Then I guess they wouldn't have anything to fear. It's my understanding that all they did was pause everything to be able to check it, but nothing that was life impacting, disaster impacting like he's claiming. I don't know. Check that out. Let me know in the comments.
These are vital capabilities for the United States.
I have to let you go, Doctor, but based on these changes, when they go into effect Friday, as a result, do you think people will die?
People already are. The pause is 2 weeks old. This is now the firing of the crew and the loss of the entire capacity for the United States. China and Russia are celebrating. Governments, I know, I've spoken to ministers of health, they are calling them, asking China, can you backstop these programs that America is walking away from? Can you make sure our people don't die from malaria? Can you make sure that 20 million people with HIV who now, as of last week, stopped being able to get medication that is keeping them alive, that this can be solved? They've been trying for this, for undermining the US in this way for decades, and Elon Musk is making it happen now.
I don't even know what to say. I mean, I get you need to go out, you need to make your case. Clearly, he's being hyperbolic. There's not millions of people dying. They're not shutting the whole thing down. They paused it because they're trying to find out where all this money's going.